Imagine a forest where mischievous fairies, who are actually caught up in their own domestic squabbles, meddle spectacularly with mortal lovers.
And at the same time, picture this group of, well, very well-meaning but utterly inept laborers trying to put on maybe the most tragically comic play you've ever encountered.
Exactly. Welcome, dear listener, to the enchanting, sometimes bewildering chaos of William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream.
It really is a place where the ordinary just collides head-on with the extraordinary, where the very rules of reality seem to bend and break, and then somehow delightfully reform.
It's Shakespeare at his most whimsical, you could say, but also maybe at his most insightful. It really prompts us to question what we perceive as real and what we might just dismiss as fantasy.
That's it exactly.
So today we're embarking on a deep dive into one of Shakespeare's most beloved, certainly one of his most enduring comedies. Written, we think, around 1595 or 1596, A Midsummer Night's Dream isn't just famous for its, magical atmosphere and its really intricate plot.
No, it's much more. It's a profound exploration of human nature itself.
Right. Our mission today is to navigate its beautifully interwoven narratives, try to really understand its fascinating, often quite absurd characters, and uncover the timeless insights it offers about love, illusion, and the truly astonishing power of imagination.
We'll try. Get ready for maybe some surprising facts and perhaps a few aha moments that will leave you, hopefully, incredibly well-informed and perhaps just a little bit enchanted.
It's a play that just keeps giving layer after layer, isn't it?
It really is, and we're going to try and peel back each one for you.
Okay, so let's begin by unspooling the entangled threads of the plot. This play masterfully weaves together three distinct narrative strands. Each one is brimming with its own unique characters, its own comedic potential.
And the brilliance, of course, is how they all somehow converge in this one enchanted forest just outside the ancient city of Athens.
That's really the genius of it. You start in this rigidly structured world of the Athenian court, a place of law, of order.
Then you journey into the wild, totally unpredictable realm of the fairies, where magic reigns supreme. And finally, you have the hilariously earnest mechanicals, these amateur actors, who find themselves kind of caught between these two powerful forces. All of them eventually meet in those magical woods, destined for, well, delightful confusion.
And what a start we have in that Athenian court. We open with Theseus, the mighty duke, preparing for his wedding to Hippolyta, the formidable queen of the Amazons. Now, their union, it's not your typical romantic fairy tale, is it?
Not at all. Theseus himself admits quite starkly that he wooed thee with my sword and won thy love doing the injuries. That's a pretty intense foundation for a marriage.
It really is. It suggests love born from conquest, power tangled up with affection right from the very start.
It certainly does. And it immediately signals to us, the audience, that love in this play isn't always going to be gentle or, frankly, consensual. It can be a consequence of power dynamics, historical conflict. It reflects the societal structures of the time where women's roles were often dictated.
Right.
Their relationship, which seems outwardly stable, serves almost as this pre-established order that's about to be challenged and ultimately transformed by the chaotic forces of the forest. It makes you wonder, what kind of marriage is this really going to be?
That's a great point. And right after this powerful introduction, we're plunged into the tumultuous lives of four young Athenian lovers. You've got Hermia, who deeply loves Lysander.
And he loves her back wholeheartedly.
Yes, but here's the crushing decree. Hermia's father, Aegeus, demands she marry Demetrius. And the stakes couldn't be higher under Athenian law. If Hermia refuses, she faces this unthinkable choice: death, or a life of consecrated chastity, living as a votress to Diana, forever barred from love and marriage.
Imagine that pressure. And the situation is further complicated by Elena, who is Hermia's friend,
Right.
and she's utterly infatuated with Demetrius.
Oh, the irony.
It's cruel irony, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Demetrius, the one demanded to marry Hermia, has nothing but contempt for Helena. He actively spurns her affections. So right from the beginning, you have this perfectly imbalanced, almost agonizing love quadrangle.
Totally. Each character is either desperately pursuing someone who doesn't want them or fleeing from someone who does.
Faced with such an impossible choice, Hermia and Lysander, deeply in love and resourceful, see only one path to happiness: elopement.
They plan to escape Athens' harsh laws, escape Aegeus' decree by fleeing into the liberating embrace of the forest. They confide their desperate plan in Helena, hoping for sympathy, maybe.
But Helena?
No.
Helena. In a truly desperate, almost tragically pathetic attempt to win Demetrius's favor. She reveals their secret to him.
Oh, no.
And that, of course, seals their fate and sets the stage for all the delightful confusion to come. It leads all four of them, Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, and Helena, straight into the magical woods.
And what's fascinating is how their initial motivations, whether it's escaping oppression or trying to win unrequited love, drive them directly into this chaotic, unpredictable space.
Exactly. They seek control over love, but they're ultimately going to lose it in the process, only to find something else entirely.
Indeed. And it's precisely in that same forest that we slide into the second world, the fairy kingdom's domestic intrigue. Deep within the ancient trees, we encounter the magnificent king and queen of the fairies, Oberon and Titania.
But even their magical, seemingly idyllic realm is plagued by discord. Their feud, it's far from a trivial lover's spat. It's truly fierce and has, well, cosmic implications.
It stems from this fierce quarrel over a young Indian changeling boy. Titania cherishes this child, not just as her own, but as this living, breathing connection to his deceased mother, who is one of her worshippers.
And she absolutely refuses to give the boy to Oberon. Their disagreement leads to this profound breakdown in the natural order itself. Titania vividly describes how their discord affects the seasons.
Right, she talks about contagious fogs and rheumatic diseases, drowned fields.
A general mortal human's woe. It's not just a marital spat, it's a disruption that reverberates throughout the entire natural world.
So, Oberon, being the king and, feeling his authority challenged, decides to punish Titania and force her to yield the boy. He enlists his famously mischievous servant, Puck.
Also known as Robin Goodfellow.
That's him. He sends him to gather a magical flower called Love and Idleness. This flower, supposedly struck by Cupid's arrow, has this potent juice that when you put it on sleeping eyelids, it causes the person to fall madly, irrationally in love with the very first living thing they see upon waking. It's such a potent symbol, isn't it, of love's bewildering nature.
It absolutely is. It's like a literal, physical manifestation of the idea that love is often blind, easily manipulated, and can just bypass all logic. Oberon's initial plan is quite cunning and, frankly, a bit cruel.
Yeah, it is.
He intends to use this potion on Titania, hoping she falls for some forest animal, maybe a bear or a leopard, thereby shaming her into finally giving up the changeling boy.
And he also tells Puck to apply the charm to the young Athenian man, Demetrius, who he saw cruelly rejecting Helena. He's trying to correct that mismatched love, as he sees it.
But Puck, being the knavish sprite he is, and prone to, let's say, delightful errors.
Delightful errors, yeah.
He makes a crucial mistake. In the darkness and confusion of the forest, he puts the potion on Lysander's eyes instead of Demetrius's.
And this, my friends, is where the true comedic chaos kicks off. Because Lysander wakes up, sees Helena, and instantly falls head over heels in love with her, completely abandoning a bewildered Hermia.
It's like a romantic comedy on hyperspeed, but with far more dramatic consequences for those involved.
It's a perfect example of dramatic irony, and it really highlights the unpredictable nature of Puck's mischief. His errors aren't just random, they're central to the play's comedic engine.
They really are. They demonstrate how easily human affections can be swayed, and how even the best intentions can go comically wrong in the hands of a trickster. This one mistake sets off a chain reaction of mistaken identity and emotional upheaval among the lovers.
And while all this love potion-induced mayhem is unfolding,
With the lovers and the fairies.
we have a third group also wandering into the same enchanted forest, the Mechanicals. These are 6 Athenian laborers, often called, maybe affectionately, maybe ironically, rude mechanicals.
Led by Peter Quince. And they're there for one very specific and hilariously misguided purpose. Rehearsing a play they've written, the most lamentable comedy and most cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe.
Which they intend to perform for Theseus and Hippolyta's wedding celebration. Good luck to them.
Their play, with its earnest amateurishness, offers this brilliant comedic contrast to the high-stakes romantic drama unfolding around them. And among them is Nick Bottom.
Bottom.
An over-enthusiastic weaver who is just a pure theatrical force of nature. He wants to play every single part, Pyramus, Thisbe, even the lion.
He really does. It shows this almost boundless self-confidence, maybe self-love.
Definitely. Quince, wisely, perhaps with great patience, assigns him the role of Pyramus. Bottom is truly a character, completely convinced of his own acting prowess. He even suggests incredibly literal props, like having actors play a wall in moonshine.
His ideas are preposterous, yet delivered with utter conviction.
And it is during their chaotic, stumbling rehearsal that Puck, ever on the lookout for a good prank, encounters Bottom, seeing his name as, well, a suitable target.
Too perfect to resist.
Puck gleefully transforms Bottom's head into that of an ass. This naturally leads the other mechanicals to flee in utter terror, convinced they're being haunted by spirits.
It's a moment of pure, unadulterated physical comedy and theatrical brilliance. It sends the entire scene just spiraling into farce.
It's not just a visual gag, though. It's the play's most iconic physical transformation. And it perfectly sets up the farcical core of the play. It literally turns a human into an ass, blurring the lines between human and animal reason and instinct.
Which is a core theme, right?
Exactly.
So with Puck's mischief, these three disparate worlds are now thoroughly, hilariously intertwined in the forest. The transformed Bottom, completely oblivious to his new donkey-headed appearance, starts singing.
Loudly, probably.
And who should he wake up but the charmed Titania? She immediately, irrevocably, madly falls deeply in love with him, an ass-headed human.
It's unbelievable. She lavishes him with the most extraordinary attention, calling for her fairies to feed him with apricots and dewberries, asking them to fan the moonbeams from his sleeping eyes and to do him courtesies.
It's truly an outrageous and yet somehow tender spectacle to imagine. It showcases love at its most irrational and blind. And of course, Oberon, watching all of this,
From afar.
he successfully seizes the opportunity to take the changeling boy from Titania while she's distracted.
This moment is the true turning point for the fairy plot. Oberon gets exactly what he wants, but the chaos among the human lovers is escalating to a fever pitch.
Right, because Puck, realizing his initial error, tries to correct it. He puts the potion on Demetrius's eyes, hoping to restore balance.
But the result is even more pandemonium. Now both Lysander and Demetrius are madly pursuing Helena. It creates this truly spectacular comedic pileup.
Oh, the drama, the sheer confusion. This leads to a furious, often vicious, quarrel among all four lovers. Hermia chides Helena for stealing Lysander's heart, accusing her of using her height
The height insults.
to overshadow Hermia's smaller stature. Lysander and Demetrius, now both fixated on Helena, become verbally abusive, even threatening a duel over her. It's a delightful, chaotic mess of misdirected affections and wounded pride.
Indeed. Sensing the escalating danger and having achieved his goal with Titania, Oberon and Puck then intervene again. They skillfully distract the lovers by mimicking their voices, leading them apart in the darkness, exhausting them.
And finally, Puck applies the antidote, but only to Lysander's eyes, restoring his love for Hermia.
And this is a crucial distinction. Demetrius, however, remains under the original love spell. He now truly loves Helena, essentially creating a new, magically induced true love match. Not everyone returns to their original state.
That's interesting. A new form of order has emerged from the chaos. By morning, as the sun begins to rise, all four lovers awaken, believing the night's bizarre and tumultuous events were merely a dream, a fierce vexation of a dream, as Oberon himself later calls it.
Which really highlights the play's central theme of illusion versus reality, doesn't it? Making us question what was real and what was just a figment of their enchanted slumber.
The play then culminates with a grand triple wedding. Theseus and Hippolyta, Hermia and Lysander, and Helena and Demetrius. It's a grand celebration of newly restored, or perhaps newly formed, order and happiness.
And as promised, the mechanicals perform their hilariously awful play, Pyramus and Thisbe, for the assembled court. The court, rather than being critical, finds immense amusement in their earnest, clumsy efforts.
It's that play within a play, brilliantly commenting on the very nature of theater and the absurdity of love itself.
And finally, in a truly enchanting closing act, the fairies, led by Oberon, Titania, and Puck, enter and bless the house and its occupants, ensuring good fortune, prosperity, and true love for the now happily married couples.
And Puck, in one of Shakespeare's most iconic theatrical moments, addresses you, the audience, directly, suggesting that what you have witnessed might also be considered just a dream, a fleeting illusion.
It's a wonderfully whimsical and self-aware way to tie everything up, leaving us to ponder the boundaries of our own perception. It certainly is. The play wraps up by meticulously restoring harmony to all three worlds, but with that lingering question about the true nature of what actually transpired.
So now that we've navigated the intricate plot, let's unpack these fascinating characters. Who are they really, and what makes them so enduringly captivating? Let's start with the mischievous agent of chaos and charm himself, Puck.
Puck, or Robin Goodfellow. He is undoubtedly the shrewd and knavish sprite who serves Oberon, and he truly embodies the play's magical, unpredictable, and often whimsical essence. He's a trickster figure pulled straight from rich English folklore, known for his pranks, his love of mischief, and his uncanny ability to mislead and confuse mortals for his own amusement. He's not really malevolent, more like a force of nature, embodying the unpredictable chaos of the natural world.
And he's responsible for some of the play's most memorable and chaotic moments. His transformation of Nick Bottom into an ass-headed creature, that's a pivotal moment. It unleashes unparalleled farcical humor and drives that central enchantment between the fairy queen and the mortal.
And he also expertly manipulates the lovers with that potent love potion, causing truly delightful, albeit agonizing, confusion. His famous observation, "Lord, what fools these mortals be," delivered after watching the bewildered, quarreling lovers.
It's just perfect.
It's the perfect summation of their antics, highlighting the absurdity of human passion from a detached, supernatural perspective.
What's particularly insightful about Puck, though, is that despite his constant mischief, his actions are ultimately pretty harmless, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. He typically restores amends by the play's end, and his direct address to the audience, suggesting they view the entire experience as a dream, a weak and idle theme, makes him a unique figure. He questions the very boundary between reality and imagination, not just for the characters, but for us, the audience.
He blurs the lines of theatrical perception.
He does. He's less malevolent than some other puka figures in Celtic folklore who were known to spirit people away forever. This Puck is more a gesture of destiny.
Moving on to the majestic yet perpetually feuding monarchs of the fairy realm, Oberon and Titania. Their estrangement sets a huge portion of the plot in motion, all because of that young Indian changeling boy.
Right. Titania cherishes him deeply, viewing him as this lasting, sacred connection to his deceased mother, one of her worshippers.
Oberon's desire for the boy. It isn't just about possession, is it? It's portrayed as a clear bid for domination over Titania, fueled by his wrath and wounded pride.
Definitely. And the sources really provoke fascinating questions about whether his anger is truly reasonable or if his elaborate plan to win the boy through magical coercion is, well, just. Their feud, as Titania herself explains in vivid detail, has profound, tangible consequences.
Yeah, it's not just personal.
No. It literally causes natural disasters and widespread disruptions in the mortal world affecting seasons, harvests, human health. This illustrates the deep interconnectedness between the fairy and human realms in Shakespeare's world.
And their ultimate reconciliation depends on Oberon getting the changeling boy and releasing Titania from her bizarre, potion-induced infatuation with Bottom.
Right. This act of restoration not only brings harmony back to the fairy world, but also ripples out, extending that harmony to the human lovers, allowing everything to be set right. It's a testament to how personal conflicts, even in the magical realm, can affect a wider system.
Titania herself. You could almost see her as an archetypal Earth Mother, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Her deep connection to the natural world is evident, not just in her dominion over it, but in her nurturing role regarding the changeling boy and her retinue of fairies, peas blossom, cobweb, moat, and mustard seed. She exhibits profound care, even doting on Bottom while he's in his ass-headed state, showering him with care, asking her fairies to feed him apricots and dewberries.
Fan the moonbeams from his sleeping eyes.
Exactly. Doing courtesies. This nurturing instinct, even towards something as absurd as an ass-headed mortal, highlights a profound connection to primal life-giving forces and the unconditional, if magically induced, nature of her affection.
Okay, let's turn now to the quartet of Athenian lovers. Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, and Helena. They truly embody the irrational, volatile, and often absurd nature of romantic love.
Their initial attachments are complicated not only by external pressures, like Aegeus's decree, but also by their own conflicting desires and insecurities.
The defining aspect of their story, of course, is what happens under the influence of that love potion. Their affections shift dramatically, instantaneously. Lysander abandons Hermia for Helena.
And then Demetrius, under the spell, falls for Helena as well. It highlights love's incredibly capricious, almost interchangeable nature. Partners can seem exchangeable and objectified.
Their heated quarrels become a central comedic element, but surprisingly intense, too. Helena chiding Hermia, Lysander claiming he never loved Hermia, the two men nearly coming to blows.
They transform from polite suitors to, well, verbally brutal lovers, showcasing the dark, volatile undercurrents of passion, its sheer emotional anarchy.
By the end, with Oberon's magical intervention, Lysander's love for Hermia is restored. But here's that interesting detail again. Demetrius remains charmed by Helena.
Right. They awaken with no conscious memory of the chaotic night, believing it was simply a vivid dream. This suggests that love, once freed from external pressures and purely magical influence, or perhaps redirected by it, finds its true path, or at least a path acceptable to societal norms.
It leaves you wondering if Demetrius's love for Helena is truly real or perpetually enchanted, doesn't it?
It does. Which brings us to the inimitable Nick Bottom, the ass who literally became a lover, and arguably a surprising sage of sorts.
Huh. Bottom is a weaver, a hempen homespun, whose over-the-top confidence and boundless theatrical ambition provide so much of the play's most memorable comic relief.
He views his own acting skills with immense, unshakable pride. He tries to advise Peter Quince on every aspect of the production, even suggesting those absurdly literal props. He's oblivious to his own shortcomings.
Which ironically kind of protects him from the pain that others experience.
That's a good point. His physical transformation into a donkey-headed creature by Puck is undoubtedly the play's most iconic visual moment. It leads directly to Titania's completely absurd yet tender infatuation with him.
It's hilarious, yes, but it's also central to driving the core enchantment of the plot.
Despite his grotesque, transformed state, Bottom miraculously retains his human personality, including his endearing self-centeredness and his amusing malapropisms.
And he famously observes, in a moment of unexpected profundity, reason and love keep little company together nowadays.
Which is a surprisingly astute comment given his circumstances. It resonates deeply with the play's overall theme of love's irrationality. His transformation, then, explores not just identity and perception, but also what truly makes someone lovable or worthy beyond external appearances.
He serves as this unique representative of the human race, demonstrating almost unassailable self-confidence, an assumed authority, and a pure, unadulterated self-love.
And upon waking, he perceives his entire surreal experience with Titania as a most rare vision, or a dream past the wit of man. He even famously misquotes that passage from Paul's first epistle to the Corinthians.
Right, about things the eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen, attributing it to his dream.
This moment allows us, the audience, to consider how the play powerfully challenges traditional notions of perception and truth, and whether what we experience in dreams can be more real, or at least more insightful, than waking life.
It's a moment of profound comedic irony that also offers a philosophical depth. Bottom, the most literal and unsophisticated character, becomes the recipient of the most fantastical and inexplicable experience.
And in his attempt to articulate it, he elevates it to a spiritual revelation, even if he mangles the language in doing so.
So why does this play, with its fairies and lovers and bumbling actors, still resonate so profoundly with us today, centuries after it was written? Let's dive into its thematic echoes, because this is where the true depth of Shakespeare's genius shines through. The first, and perhaps most obvious, is love's inherent irrationality and fickle nature.
The play absolutely consistently demonstrates that love is often blind, illogical, and incredibly susceptible to external forces. The love potion is the ultimate literal symbol of this, instantly shifting affections with no logical basis or past history.
It manifests that truth captured in the famous line, "Love looks not with the eyes but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind." This idea isn't just a poetic flourish, it's the very engine of the play's romantic chaos.
The rapid shifts in the lovers' affections and their intense, sometimes brutal quarrels vividly highlight the capricious, often absurd, and even animalistic side of passion. Lysander and Demetrius, under the spell, become verbally brutal lovers, and their love interests appear almost exchangeable.
It makes you truly wonder, if love can be so easily manipulated by a flower, is it truly strong? Can genuine affection be so fleeting?
It's a very valid question, and the play doesn't shy away from it. Some interpretations even suggest that what passes for love in the play can be a self-destructive expression of passion, preventing genuine communication and leading to distress.
Bottom's unshakable egotism, surprisingly, might be an exception here.
Yeah, maybe that form of self-love protects him from such emotional folly and keeps him grounded amidst the magical chaos. Ultimately, the play relentlessly questions if love is genuinely strong or easily changed, and whether it truly requires the risk of death, as Aegeus's law suggests, to prove its worth.
It peels back the romanticized layers of love to expose its raw, often comical, fragility.
That truly adds another layer of depth. Another major theme, beautifully woven throughout the play, is the blurred line between illusion, reality, and the profound power of dreams. The title itself, A Midsummer Night's Dream immediately emphasizes this ambiguity.
And Puck's epilogue, in that meta-theatrical stroke of genius, directly invites the audience to consider the entire play as nothing more than a fleeting dream.
The enchanted forest itself functions as a dreamlike change in perception, a liminal space where the ordinary rules of reality are completely suspended. Characters like Bottom awaken believing their bizarre experiences were merely dreams.
Even Titania describes her infatuation with Bottom and her awakening as, "What visions have I seen?"
Exactly. This theme extends deeply into the idea that dreams can reveal subconscious desires and allow for a temporary liberation from rigid social rules. What's particularly fascinating and something you can relate to is that often people aren't even aware of what it is they secretly desire until their subconscious goes unchecked in sleep.
The play acts as a theatrical dream, allowing us to explore those desires, and it even goes so far as to vindicate the power of imagination itself, showing how poets, lovers, and lunatics are all united by a strong imagination that can conjure vivid realities from thin air.
It's a powerful statement about the human mind's capacity for creativity and illusion. Absolutely. The next major theme is the pervasive presence of magic, folklore, and the supernatural.
Right. Magic isn't just a convenient plot device here. It's a living, breathing, driving force that allows for profound transformations and significant disruptions of order, that love and idleness flower.
With its potent juice, it's central to the chaos, giving the fairies greater power over those of the characters and literally controlling their emotional destinies.
The play draws heavily on rich Elizabethan folklore, particularly regarding fairies and their capricious nature. Oberon, Titania, and Puck are deeply rooted in traditional fairy lore. Puck, as Robin Goodfellow, was a widely recognized trickster figure.
And Elizabethans widely believed in the supernatural, not just as metaphor, but as tangible forces in their world. Shakespeare masterfully incorporates these beliefs.
From the magical powers of plants on Midsummer Night, a time traditionally associated with spirits and magic, to the very real association of certain herbs, like thyme with fairy revels.
Didn't they even believe rubbing thyme oil on your eyes could grant second sight?
Yeah, supposedly letting you perceive the unseen world of spirits.
It really paints a picture of a complex brew of faiths in Elizabethan England. You had legally mandated Anglicanism, subtly suppressed Catholicism, and ancient magical beliefs all intermingling. Old herbals and grimoires from the period reflect this deep cultural interconnectedness.
So Shakespeare was tapping into a very real and widely held belief system for his audience, making the magic feel palpable and immediate, not just, theatrical flourish.
Exactly. And then there's the masterful interplay of order and disorder, particularly through the concept of the green world and the ultimate restoration of social harmony.
The play presents a clear progression from the rigid order and stern laws of the Athenian court through the exhilarating transformative chaos of the enchanted forest.
And finally, back to a restored, more flexible order and harmony with the joyous multiple weddings.
The forest is often referred to as the green world, a truly liminal space existing outside the strictures of Athenian society. Here, characters experience profound transformation, confront their inner turmoil, and ultimately resolve conflicts before returning to the real world of the city.
It mirrors ancient Elizabethan festival traditions like May Day and Midsummer, which involved temporary role reversals, playful subversion of norms, and joyous merriment before returning to daily life.
Ultimately, the play skillfully restores social structure, converting the initial chaos into a joyful, festive order, as characters find satisfaction for their desires, albeit sometimes magically induced, within established societal bounds.
Finally, we absolutely must discuss the profound power of art and imagination as explored in the play. A Midsummer Night's Dream itself is a magnificent metadrama, a play quite literally about place.
Right. The Mechanical's hilariously palpable gross performance of Pyramus and Thisbe serves as this brilliant comic mirror to the main plots, reflecting on the very nature of theater, the absurdity of love, and the act of creation itself.
And that reflection deepens with Theseus's famous lines about the poet, the lunatic, and a lover, all sharing a strong imagination. This highlights Shakespeare's own powerful exploration of how imagination bodies forth intangible ideas and gives them a local habitation and a name.
The play suggests that the poet's imagination creates unity by giving concrete form to diverse, often chaotic, elements.
And moreover, it implies that the writer is always addressing the spectator's own imagination, which actively participates in creating and perceiving this unity. It's truly a declaration of liberation for the stage, demonstrating that in the realm of imagination, nothing seems either off-limits or impossible. It's a celebration of theater's boundless possibilities.
Now let's talk about some of the lines that have truly become iconic, lines that you probably know even if you haven't read or seen the play. First up, the course of true love never did run smooth.
Ah, yes. That famous line, delivered by Lysander right at the beginning, in the face of their initial obstacles, perfectly encapsulates the unpredictable, challenging, and often fraught nature of love, as depicted throughout the play.
It immediately sets the stage for the myriad complications the lovers face. And it's a sentiment that, despite centuries passing, still rings profoundly true today for anyone navigating the complexities of relationships.
It's a timeless declaration of love's inherent difficulty.
Next, a universal fan favorite, delivered with detached amusement by Puck himself. Lord, what fools these mortals be!
Puck's famous exclamation, delivered after observing the confused, bickering, potion-addled lovers, it's the quintessential moment of comedic commentary. It highlights the sheer absurdity of human passion and emotional turmoil from a supernatural, somewhat cynical perspective.
It showcases Puck's amused yet ultimately benign view of human folly. It's a delightful moment, like he's breaking the fourth wall, inviting us to share in his amusement.
Definitely. Yeah. And for the most unlikely source, the ass-headed Nick Bottom, we get, reason and love keep little company together nowadays.
Ah! Bottom's surprisingly astute observation, uttered even in his bizarre transformed state, cuts directly to the heart of the play's central theme about love's irrationality.
It's a moment of unexpected wisdom emerging from the most unlikely character, making it both profoundly humorous and remarkably insightful. A nugget of truth wrapped in absurdity. He's speaking from experience even if he doesn't fully get it.
Then there's Bottom's truly profound, if mangled, awakening speech. I have had a most rare vision.
Oh, this is a comedic highlight.
Yeah.
Bottom, still in a daze, tries to describe his utterly bizarre, dreamlike experience with Titania, his famously mangled biblical allusion.
That jumbled reference to 1 Corinthians. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen.
It further blurs the line between the fantastical, the comedic, and even the sacred. It renders his experience truly unique and inexpressible, elevating his dream to something almost spiritual.
While simultaneously being uproariously funny because he gets it all wrong, he even believes a man is but a patched fool if he go about to expound this dream.
Exactly. And finally, Puck's famous, direct closing lines to you, the audience. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended.
Puck's concluding address is such a brilliant theatrical device. It directly invites the audience to consider the entire play they've just witnessed as a dream, a fleeting illusion.
It creates this wonderful sense of whimsy and allows for forgiveness of any perceived offense or misstep in the performance. It's a clever way to wrap the audience into the play's core themes of illusion and imagination.
Essentially letting them off the hook and inviting them to engage their own imaginations and reflecting on what they've seen.
It reminds us that theater is a shared, ephemeral experience.
So why does A Midsummer Night's Dream continue to hold such timeless appeal and produce countless modern echoes? What makes it endure across centuries?
Well, I think at its core, the play explores universal human experiences that just transcend time. The themes of infatuation, the often unpredictable nature of love, the pangs of jealousy, the boundless power of imagination, they remain profoundly relatable.
Anyone who has experienced the folly of love, the irrational decisions, the sudden shifts of heart, can see themselves reflected in the enchanted lovers. It speaks to that part of us that yearns for passion, even if it leads to chaos.
And beyond the emotional landscape, the play's depiction of a desire for escapism, finding joy in the unexpected, as wonderfully portrayed in the magical forest, that speaks to an enduring human need for wonder, for magic, for a temporary release from the pressures and constraints of daily life.
It's like a vacation for the mind, isn't it? An escape into a world where anything is possible.
Beyond that, the play continues to challenge our very perceptions. A Midsummer Night's Dream provokes deep thought about the nature of reality and illusion. It subtly, yet powerfully, encourages us to question how much of what we perceive as real is truly objective.
And how much is influenced by our deepest desires, our subconscious fears, or even our unchecked urges. This is particularly relevant when we consider that, as we discussed, most of the time, people aren't even aware of what it is they secretly desire until their subconscious goes unchecked in sleep.
The play holds up a mirror to our inner selves. And the play's themes of transformation and identity, particularly through Bottom's astonishing experience, continue to resonate with contemporary discussions about self-awareness, what constitutes true nature, and how external appearances can often obscure or even redefine our perception of truth and worth.
It's a powerful statement about looking beyond the superficial.
And its enduring theatrical legacy is absolutely undeniable. The play's experimental nature, its groundbreaking blend of multiple interwoven plots, its unique combination of slapstick comedy, profound magic, philosophical questions, it was truly groundbreaking for its time.
And this innovative spirit continues to inspire countless adaptations across various media.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen operas that capture its lyrical beauty, ballets that express its whimsical movements.
And a multitude of film versions that reinterpret its magic for new generations. From that classic 1935 film with James Cagney as a surprisingly earnest bottom.
To a more contemporary 2002 film set at a modern rave, where the magic is reimagined through, well, ecstasy.
Or even a 2008 film where a modern high school production mirrors the play's own plot. It just keeps getting reimagined. It proves its universal adaptability and lasting appeal.
The play also serves as a vital lesson in Elizabethan theater conventions, showcasing the cleverness of the play within a play, the directness of presentational acting, the beauty of lengthy poetic dialogue. These elements are still studied and influence modern theater.
It demonstrates how actors can engage audiences in a very direct, active way, unlike some modern theater experiences that might encourage a more passive reception.
A Midsummer Night's Dream itself illustrates how an engaged, responsive audience isn't merely a bystander, but an essential component of the theatrical experience. It reminds us that theater is a living, breathing thing that truly requires active participation from everyone involved.
Our deep dive into A Midsummer Night's Dream truly reveals a play that is far more than just a whimsical fairy tale, delightful as that may be. It's a profound and surprisingly complex meditation on the messy, magical, and often absurd nature of human love.
It reminds us how easily our perceptions can be swayed by desire or circumstance, how blurred the lines between dreams and reality can truly become, and how a touch of magic, or simply the boundless power of imagination, can utterly transform even the most ordinary of lives.
From the chaotic passions of the Athenian lovers to the earnest folly of the mechanicals, all overseen by the meddling yet ultimately benevolent fairies, Shakespeare invites us to embrace the unpredictable joy and enchanting chaos that is inherent in life itself.
It's a celebration of finding wonder in the unexpected.
And as we reluctantly leave this enchanted forest and step back into our own realities, perhaps the most enduring lesson, the most provocative thought to carry with you is this. What if the dream is not merely the play itself, a theatrical illusion, but a metaphor for how we navigate our own desires and the bewildering, often illogical landscape of human connection?
What if, like the characters waking on that midsummer morning, we too often attribute our most profound, unsettling, or even exhilarating experiences to something as fleeting and easily dismissed as a dream, rather than recognizing the deep, often irrational, and undeniably magical forces truly at play in our everyday lives?
It's a question worth pondering long after the curtain falls and the lights come up.